Hey, welcome to the Den of Alacrity. My name is Mac, and in this video, we're going to be talking about 3D printing. I've been building and playing around with my 3D printer for about 6 months or so now, and I've learned so many lessons along the way, so I wanted to make a video to share some of them with you. If you've been looking at 3D printing and wondering about the process or what you can do with it, then stick around because we're going to get some answers. Even if you are an experienced 3D printist already, hopefully you will learn something too. I'm so excited to get into it, so let's do just that. It all started with a box of parts. My family came over for my birthday and handed me a box with the word ANET on the side. And they very excitedly informed me that it was a 3D printer and I was going to have to build it. I was shocked, but ecstatic. This seemed like some sort of building feat or mechanical feat that would be beyond my mere mortal skill set, and whilst I'm awesome at building IKEA furniture, I wasn't really sure that the skills were going to transfer over. With some help from a friend, I managed to do it, and I built my 3D printer and got it working. Remember Star Trek? Every time I turn on my 3D printer, I picture myself standing in front of a replicator, waiting for the atomic structure of a piece of food to be recreated for me. My 3D printer might not actually be replicating the atomic structure of the piece of pizza I had in Italy that one time, but it has the same energy. It's a technology that makes you think the future is now. In less metaphorical terms, 3D printing is a form of additive manufacturing, meaning it builds objects up bit by bit. Your models are sliced into layers on your computer using a piece of software aptly called a slicer. Those layers are then printed one by one on top of each other until you are left with the final model. You can change the height of the slices on your computer to add definition to your model in exchange for print time. It's a really impressive process, but it's probably a bit slower than you think. Home printers are getting much speedier, but for now, you're still going to have to wait a while for a large print. There are about 10 different types of 3D printing, and if you want to read about all of them, All3DP did a great breakdown of all the different techniques. You can find links to that in the article in the description down below. I'm just going to focus on the two most popular types, SLA and FDM. Stereolithography printers, or SLA, use a liquid plastic called resin. When the resin is exposed to focused beams of light, it solidifies in a process called photopolymerization. The individual layers are drawn by a laser or flashed on a screen, and then the print is pulled out of the liquid resin a little bit so that the next layer can be drawn. It looks just as cool as it sounds. The quality of the print depends on the size of the laser, so these types tend to be very, very accurate, as the laser can draw even tiny shapes with ease. The most popular type of 3D printer is called Fused Deposition Modeling, or FDM, and my machine is an FDM printer. It uses a long, thin, cylindrical piece of plastic as its material, which is pushed through a heated nozzle and it softens as it goes. Each individual layer is drawn in 2 dimensions onto a print bed. When that layer is finished, either the print bed or the nozzle moves so that the next layer can be drawn on top. This process is repeated until you're left with the model that's been built up over time. Now these are slightly less accurate because the quality of the print depends on the fine movement of stepper motors, which, to be honest, is nowhere near as thin as the size of a laser. So FDM tend to be less accurate, but cheaper and easier to use. So that's why they are a bit more popular, and that's, where my machine came from. So now let's have a little look at the history of 3D printing. Now it can be easy to see sort of successful technologies now, or even successful people now, and think, well, that must have been an overnight success. When you look below the surface, there's actually years of trial and error from very smart people to get something to work. And 3D printing is no different. It might be hard to look at the technology now and imagine that somebody couldn't see the value in it, but for the longest time, 3D printing struggled to get off the ground. Way back in 1981, Hideo Kobama, a Japanese lawyer, attempted to file the very first patent for a machine that used an early version of the SLA technology. That's right, the one with lasers came first. Who'd have thought? The patent eventually fell through because Kobama could not find the interest he needed to pursue the project. Nobody was willing to commit to the investment or time required to make this technology happen. So eventually, Kobama and his university dropped the project, only for it to be picked up again by a group of French researchers. The cycle repeated itself, and the French researchers also could not find the people with the time or the money to invest to pursue the project. Fast forward to 1984, and Charles Hull was getting frustrated with the amount of time it took to create small custom parts for his prototypes. He picked up the SLA torch and used his connections in the manufacturing industry to secure the funding he needed. 3D printing was finally getting its shot. They released their first machine in 1989, and the world would never be the same again. Over in Minnesota, another type of 3D printing was being conjured in the mind of Scott Crump. Crump had the idea to squeeze long, thin tubes of plastic through a hot end and onto a plate, the first FDM machine. His company, Stratasys, was founded in 1989, and by 1991 they had produced their first machine. 3D printed parts were featured in NASA's technology, Volvo's manufacturing plant, and countless Formula 1 cars. It would take another 20 years though for the technology to make its way into people's homes. And of course, no history of technology would be complete without a picture of somebody with a ridiculous mustache standing in front of a huge machine. So, here it is. Why do people even like 3D printing in the first place? That is the question. What's so good about 3D printing, and why should you be as excited as I am? The answer is twofold. People love their printers as a tool for the things they can do with it, but they also see their printers as a project. 3D printers are awesome tools with an infinite amount of uses you can put them to. You might 3D print a small custom part of a larger project. You can 3D print tools that are just to be used on their own, or you might 3D print something to build a project around, right? Something to attach other components or other things to. Matty, my best friend and the one that helped me build my printer, loves making robot buggies in his spare time. And he uses his 3D printer to create the chassis for the robots. He then attaches all the parts onto that central body. I've used mine to create the case for a wildlife camera, and I want to put it in a hedgehog box that my partner Abby has got for her allotment. I'm going to stick a camera in there and some UV lights, and we're going to see if we can get some cute pictures of hedgehogs as they come to stay the night. 3D printers allow me to create precise parts very quickly. I mean, just the fact that I can think of a project in the morning, find or make a model, and then print it in the afternoon is incredible. And then, if there's something wrong with the part, it doesn't quite fit, then I can just tweak it and print it again, all the very same day. These sorts of things would have taken hours and hours and multiple days and getting people to make it and then ship it back to me in the past. And now I can just quickly iterate and I can have loads of fun making great projects on my 3D printer. Printers are much more than a tool. Mine has been a project. A lot of the things I've printed have been upgrades for the printer. You can print things like filament guides that help guide the plastic into the right place and improve the flow, or cable chains that keep your wires tidy and looking cool as hell. I also had to print a bunch of frame stabilizers. My printer came with an acrylic frame, and obviously that wobbles quite a bit as the printer is moving, so I printed some parts that were going to keep it nice and steady for me. It sounds like a bit of a grueling task, and printing upgrades on a printer that you just bought might seem a little bit dull to some of you, but honestly, I've loved every single minute of it. My printer is more than just a tool to me. It's something that I've built, it's something I've put hours into, and getting to know the printer as well has been invaluable because I've been taking it apart multiple times. I thought I broke it more than once, and then I had to fix it. And so this process of sort of building up on your own, it really makes you go deep inside. It's not just a magical technology that produces things, you actually understand how it works. And when you get down to it, it's surprisingly simple. So, now that you've listened to all of that and you've heard me go wax lyrical about how great 3D printing is, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, Mac, what can I do? How can I learn more about this right now? Right this very second, give me some links. So, here are some resources and creators and stuff that you can follow and you can kind of go check out right now, and it'll help you learn a little bit more. The first resource I'd like to recommend is called Thingiverse. It's a website where people can upload their 3D models and you can go and download them. When you first started, this is invaluable, right? Because I'm already trying to learn how to do 3D printing. I don't also need to learn how to 3D model alongside that. Let's remove one of those hard challenges and just focus on the printing part for now. And Thingiverse is a great tool to let you do that. If you can think of a project and you think, oh, I really want to make that, check Thingiverse first, because the likelihood is that somebody has already made it and you can just download the file and then print it. I'm really grateful for all of the amazing, amazing creators that upload to Thingiverse. They've helped me numerous times, and with a bunch of the models that you've seen in this video. The second resource is something that I've mentioned already, but to be honest with you, every time I've had a question about 3D printing, they've had the answer. And that's a website called All3DP. It's a blog, content creation, they do videos, they do these great breakdowns of loads of different sides of 3D printing, whether you're doing SLA or FDM, or you have questions why this model isn't printing, what's the best settings to use for my slicer, all these things. All3DP most likely has an answer for you. So go check them out, right? As I said, links for all of these things I'm discussing are in the article in the description down below. So please go check that out and have a look at All3DP. And they have so many answers to your questions. If you're thinking, what's the best 3D printer to buy? Go check All3DP. If you're thinking, how do I get a model to be super precise because I want to create a mold from it, right? All3DP will have your answer. So it's a great resource and I really recommend you go have a read, like right now. Maybe not right now. Wait till the end of the video and then go do it, but immediately, as soon as you can. Finally, I want to recommend an online course. Now, this channel, I'm trying to promote online learning and, learning things in your spare time. So we had to have an online course on this list. And the online course I want to recommend is called 3D Printing Hacks. And I'll try and put the link in here, and obviously it's in the description as well if you go check it out. This one will take you from, getting a 3D printer out of the box to successfully doing your first print. It covers all the steps in between, and it'll give you a step-by-step instructions. It has general tips, but it also has specific jumping off points for printers that you might have. I really recommend checking out if you've just got a 3D printer or you're thinking of getting one, because I've got you so excited about it. Check that out first. It will really give you everything you need to get from like zero to like a competent printer, at least. Finally, I want to point out some creators I think you should follow. Now, this is where the 3D printists among you will probably correct me. And please, any more recommendations, stick them in the comments down below. I want this to be like a great resource for anybody who wants to learn 3D printing. So if you have some recommendations that you think like I should know about, or other people watching this video should know about, leave them in the comments. But these are the creators that have particularly inspired me or that I enjoy watching on a day-to-day that I think you guys should go follow. So the first one I want to talk about is 3D Printing Nerd. He's a dude called Joel. I've been watching Joel since before I had a 3D printer, before I even knew that I wanted to do 3D printing, because I just think he's a super likable guy, and he's really sweet. He does loads of projects with his kids. He very wholesome 3D printing content, and he has every 3D printer under the sun. So 3D Printing Nerd, go check him out on YouTube around here. He's great. You will love it. The second creator I like to point out is an Instagram account. Now, this one's a little bit of a smaller one, but like still bigger than me, I suppose. So like gigantic. But it's called 3D Printing Brothers. Now, 3D Printing Brothers are two brothers, I assume, who 3D print all day, every day. Now, what's really great about them is they share these Instagram posts that are super inspiring and look awesome, but they also give a breakdown of all the tools and the settings and the filament and all the things they've used to create that print. And so it serves as great inspiration, because when you're first learning 3D print, settings will be your one of your biggest hurdles. Loads of times I've seen their posts and thought, oh, what settings are they using? And I've learnt something, right? Oh, I should use that layer height, or maybe I need to reduce the speed that my printer is going. Give them a like and a follow, tell them Max sent you. The final creator I want to point you towards is another sort of huge YouTube personality that, the experienced people will be like, oh, I've already seen him. But if you're just getting started in 3D printing, I really need to point you in his direction. And that is Thomas Salanderer. If tips and tricks and guides are what you're after, then honestly, look no further than his YouTube channel. Every question I have, I'll type it into YouTube, how to do this in 3D printing, and there's always a Thomas Salanderer video in the top 3. He's covered all the problems, he's made all the mistakes that you could possibly make, and he makes videos to tell you how to fix them. Awesome content, really great guy. If you're looking for tips and tricks and other great stuff, go check out Thomas Salanderer's channel, and yeah, any of these other creators that I've mentioned will be a great starting place on your 3D printing journey. That's the introduction to the first hobby I'm going to be covering on the Den here. Now, it's the first of many, and to be honest with you, that's not the end of 3D printing. There's going to be some more 3D printing coming your way. I want to get you more pumped. I want to, invite you along on my journey. Honestly, I'm just a beginner too, so I want to share some of the things that I've learned with you, talk a little bit about the history, because I find that stuff super interesting. Just in general, share this, great thing I've been doing in my spare time. This isn't the end. Like, follow us, go check out the article in the description down below, and follow us on social media. You'll find all those linkies down here. If you like this video, give it a like. If you want to see more of it, give it a subscribe. If you have any thoughts or things that I could improve, leave me some comments. I'm really excited to start this YouTube journey with you all. Until next time, my beautiful murder of internet crows, happy learning.